What's up, you guys? It's Steve here, and we've gotten word that the White House is going to be releasing new executive orders and actions here, in addition to more legislation to pass through more stimulus provisions. And this is your Build Back Better, Building a Better America stimulus package and stimulus update. Now, you guys, I've got the update for you. We're going to be taking a look at this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Does the president need to pass executive orders and actions for more stimulus provisions? Now, in addition to that, we have $800 billion of leftover funds. Maybe he could use that for stimulus provisions. Maybe a fourth and a fifth, we're hearing, stimulus check. There's so much left over. Child tax credits, other additional provisions that people might need at this time. Now, we're going to be hearing from Jayapal, head of the Progressive Democratic Caucus in the House of Representatives, who's saying, in addition to the legislation they're working on, they're also going to be pushing for executive orders and actions. And they're saying that we need this at this time. They don't want everything happening in Ukraine and Russia to overshadow the need of this domestic agenda. Now, also, we're going to be hearing her say they need to get this done not only to help out the American people at this time that are hitting a 40-year high inflation, but also it is a midterm election, which means that they need to get something done in order for them to maintain their control in Congress. And as you know, right now, the Democratic Party, they control the House of Representatives, the Senate, and also the presidency. And they're saying we got to get something done to convince the American people to keep us in power. Because historically, what we've seen is that when one party is in full control, and if they don't get things done, well, the American people will say, you didn't do your job, and they will vote to get the other party in power, and it will likely flip. So they're saying they got to get something done here right away. Now, let me know your thoughts on this. Do you think that there is a way for the Democrats to keep themselves in power? Should they pass executive orders and actions to provide more stimulus? Do you think they shouldn't? Let me know your thoughts. Now, in addition to that, right now also, with everything going on in Russia and Ukraine, gas prices are skyrocketing, and we're hearing more legislation is on the way to cut off all Russian oil supply to the United States, which is likely going to cause it to go even higher. Should we provide more stimulus provisions to help combat and offset the oil prices? And we're hearing that some states are going to be passing their own forms of stimulus checks to do just that. Now, do you think that that should be done on a federal level? Let me know your thoughts, you guys, but there is a lot unfolding, and I've got the video footage that just came out that's saying, in addition to legislation, executive orders and actions are going to be on the way. So you guys, let's go ahead and dive right in, get you caught up on the latest, and again, let me know your thoughts. Now, before we dive in, though, if you could do me a quick favor, just takes a second. If you appreciate these updates, keeping you up to speed on everything going on, if you could just smash that like button for me, helps out the channel a ton, just takes a second. That simple gesture lets the YouTube algorithm know that you appreciate the content, and they're going to keep promoting my channel. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Also, leave your comments. Love to hear your thoughts. Share this out if you think it's going to help out other people. If this is your first time here and you want to stay up to date, totally free, you can come join the Ram fam. All you got to do is hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell, and I'll keep you up to date on everything going on. And if you got any specific questions for me, I'm easy to get a hold of directly. All you got to do is hop onto Instagram, shoot me a DM at SteveRam3. But with that being said, you guys, let's go ahead and dive right in. Let's hear from Jayapal on pushes for additional legislation, domestic agenda, and even executive orders and actions on the way.
All right, welcome back. We've got some breaking news to get to shortly. But for now, with all eyes focused on Russia's invasion of Ukraine, there's concern that the domestic agenda is being pushed to the back burner, with critical issues like police reform, voting rights, and Build Back Better stuck in limbo. So how can Dems address the crisis abroad and take care of business here at home? And the Republicans are not off the hook either. Joining me now, Representative Jayapal. She's chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. Congresswoman, I'm so happy to have you with us this morning. Thank you for being here. Look, Ukraine is sucking up all the oxygen in the room right now. Understandably, what happens there will cast a wide net of influence across the globe. So I understand that makes sense. But there is still important policy issues facing people here at home. Chief among them, I'd say, is voting rights, which is crucially important in a midterm year. We're seeing this play out in real time in Texas, which just had its primary this week. President Biden is meeting with the labor secretary and labor leaders today. A lot happening here domestically. So I think what people are concerned about is, can the Democratic majority walk and chew gum at the same time? Your thoughts?
Tiffany, first of all, it's great to see you as always. Look, I think that is exactly what we have to do. We can't take our eyes off of any of the things that we need to get done. And I think you heard President Biden walking this line during the State of the Union. About a third of the speech was about Ukraine, which is a massive issue for us in the United States. Obviously, a war on the European continent affects everybody, and it affects us in terms of, the basics of how we operate every day, including, of course, gas prices. But I will just say that there is a connection between what we are trying to do domestically and what we are trying to do internationally. Let me give you 3 ways that that's the case. First of all, democracy. We are both in the European Union and, with the war on Ukraine, the aggression of Russia on Ukraine, and here in the United States, we are trying to show that democracy works. We cannot allow suppression of votes domestically, nor can we allow dictators in Europe or anywhere in the world to take over. So that is a real connection. Secondly, if we ever want to be truly free of the ability of dictators to blackmail us over oil and gas, we should be investing right here at home in renewable energy technologies. We should be weaning ourselves of fossil fuels so that this situation that we're in does not happen again in terms of, feeling like we can't stop Russian oil and gas imports because it's going to drive up prices here at home. By the way, no matter what we do, prices of gas are going to go up. So any Republicans who try to say that it's drill, baby, drill, and that solves the problem, it's wrong. That is not the case. We are going to see gas prices rise, but it is in service to trying to quell a dictator. And finally, if we want democracy to work, Tiffany, then we've also got to show that we don't have these massive inequalities of wealth and income, which is why we need to lower the cost of childcare, lower the cost of housing, lower the cost of prescription drugs, so that we can show people that it actually matters to have a democratic country, a country that invests in everybody. So that's how I see these two things going hand in hand together, and it's why we're not going to stop working on the domestic agenda.
Yeah, and there are some through lines here. I look at what's happening in Ukraine, and I see, democracy can be a fragile thing, and it feels a bit fragile in America right now. We're seeing, the Republican Party bleeded by 1,000 cuts with rampant voter suppression. The Florida Republican-controlled state legislature just advanced a bill that was pushed by the Republican mayor, Ron DeSantis, Florida man, who would create a police force dedicated to pursuing election crimes. This is not a thing. So it's not lost on me that we're in a midterm election year. Russia has previously tried to attack our democracy by sowing discord here in the United States, hacking into some of our democratic systems. What's concerning, though, to me, Congresswoman, which I want your opinion on, there have been Republican voices who are espousing Russian talking points, who are regurgitating some of the same things Vladimir Putin said. We've seen that on Fox News from folks like Tucker Carlson, and we've even heard it from some elected members of Congress. How will you navigate that as we're watching democracy in peril really all across the globe?
Well, we really have to call it out, and we can't forget that under Donald Trump, if people think that elections don't have consequences and their votes don't matter, imagine, Tiffany, what it would be like right now if Donald Trump were in power. This is the same man, when he was president, who actually withheld congressionally approved aid to President Zelensky because he wanted President Zelensky to launch an investigation of Joe Biden's son's company, Burisma. And so I think we have to understand this is a president who has continued to prop up Vladimir Putin as a dictator. And there are some in his party that continue to do that. Here at home, we have Republicans who are essentially, as you said, espousing the same tactics as Vladimir Putin in his own country, acting like a dictator and suppressing the power of the vote. So on voting rights, which I know is so important to you and I, the thing we have to do in the absence of federal legislation, we're going to continue to push, but unless we reform or eliminate the filibuster, and we need 50 votes to do that, and we don't have that in the Senate, we're going to have to focus on the on-the-ground work. Communities across the country, this is your opportunity to make sure we're training up poll watchers, we're out there working early on voter registration, on voter turnout. We have to do a jujitsu move here, and we have to show people that there is nothing that they can do to suppress our votes. We're just going to turn out even bigger, even more assured of our vote, and do everything we can to protect it.
Well, I'm coming up against the hard break here, but I'll tell you, for those of us who, journalists who work in media, it's very challenging because right now the echo chambers are laser focused on Ukraine, which means a lot of other things get overlooked. Police brutality is still very much an issue. There are still viral video clips of people getting abused. Voter suppression, as we've talked about, is still very much an issue. So I think what the American people want to know, especially as it's a midterm year and the Democrats go out there and ask for another chance to maintain control of the legislative branch, is what can Congress get done? Voter legislation has died. Police reform has died. And so when you ask the American people to trust you again, what is it that you're offering?
Yes, very good point. We are about to unveil a slate of executive actions, the Congressional Progressive Caucus will, that address all of these different areas. I want to be clear, it's not going to be as good as legislation, but we have to cancel student debt. We have to there are some things we can do around criminal justice from an executive perspective. The Department of Justice can do them. We need to make sure we're bringing down the cost of prescription drugs. We can do that through margin rights. We need to take on climate change. These are executive actions that can't happen with this president. But in addition, I have not given up on passing a bill that takes on climate change, that addresses childcare, that cuts that makes the tax system more fair and that cuts the cost of prescription drugs. I believe that something like that is possible. We're going to continue to push on it. But at the end of the day, Tiffany, just really quickly, this is what we have to remember. If it were easy, it would have been done. And there is nobody in the history of civil rights in the world that stopped when we came up against barriers. So we need bigger majorities in the House and the Senate if we're really going to be able to deliver on some of the things we need to deliver on.
Yeah, elections have consequences, just like you said. Thanks so much, Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal. I've got some breaking news I got to get to.
Well, there you have it, you guys. That was Pramila Jayapal, head of the Democratic Progressive Caucus in the House of Representatives. And she's saying that in addition to the legislation that they're going to be passing for more stimulus, they're also going to be passing executive orders and executive actions from the president. So I will keep you up to date as more unfolds. Let me know your thoughts, but that is the latest. And as always, you guys, thank you so much for joining me. If you made it this far and you haven't already, don't forget, take a quick second, smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Helps out the channel a ton. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Also, leave your comments. Share this out if you think it's going to help out other people. If this is your first time here and you want to stay up to date, totally free to do so. All you got to do is hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell. If you got any specific questions for me, go ahead and hop onto Instagram, shoot me a DM at SteveRam3. That's by far the best way to get a hold of me. And also keep an eye out for new content that is on the way on the second channel, Steve Ram Finance. And also, we're going to be unveiling some new exciting stuff here. Can't wait to share with you guys, but not quite yet. But stay tuned. And as always, you guys, thank you so much for joining me. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.